1, 0.
Folks, it is Monday. It is time for Monday Night Nerd. And I'm so glad you guys could be here. It is Comic-Con Fan Expo week, and we are on the road to Fan Expo. I'm so happy you could all be here. I know if you're not here, you are probably con crunching. Tonight, we're going to be talking all about Comic-Con etiquette, the do's and don'ts of Comic-Con, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And you're probably coming out of the show and going, if you've ever watched the show before, you're probably going, Myers, where are you? You're not in the same room you've been doing your last 100 and some odd episodes. This is the new home of Monday Night Nerd. This is the new room. Over the past weekend, I decided we needed to do a facelift, and we moved the podcast from one room to the other room. And there's a main reason for that. Not just because of this amazing setup that has a lot more clear, niceness behind me, not a whole bunch of garbage. We also have my Stan the Mannequin behind us, which I feel like I should have a sensor bar across here. The main reason was the other room is the only room in the house that does not have any air conditioning. So for the past month and a half, I have been in there, some days working all day because I work from home sometimes, sweating my butt off. And you might have seen it over the past few episodes. I am pretty much dripping sweat by the time I'm done because I cannot get that room cold. So I decided, after dealing with it for so many months, I'm going to bring the podcast over here. I have a lot more room. I have a lot more space. I have a lot more less stuff everywhere that I have to make sure is clean before I start the episode. So this is the new home. I'm very glad you guys could be here. I'll give you a quick tour. This is my drum kit. For those who don't know, I play drums for exercise. It's more of a cardio than actually knowing, I do know how to play drums, but I really don't care about how it sounds because it's an electric kit. That is my first Luigi's vacuum from my Luigi cosplay. That is my first prop I ever made. That is the Hellboy fist that I made for my wife. And all of that stuff over there is all stuff getting ready for Fan Expo. It is going to be a great weekend at Fan Expo. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Crystal is already in chat. I left my phone in my mother-in-law's car enjoying this terrible spelling on my laptop. Thank you for at least tuning in. I greatly appreciate you being here. We got a couple things to talk about, and then we are going to jump into the main event, which is Comic-Con etiquette. Let's talk about reviews because, man, if you guys have been anywhere online over the past few weeks, you know about a movie that has blown up the internet, and it is War of the Worlds starring Ice Cube. And I've seen so many people review it. I've seen so many people laugh at the movie, and I was like, I like some B movies. I like some B and C movies. I love Sharktopus versus Crocosaurus. I love all those corny movies. I want to see this one for myself. And I gotta admit, it is one of the hardest watches I've ever seen. And not from just a movie perspective. The way the movie is shot, and I don't think it's really dictated enough in people's reviews. I know people are making fun of Ice Cube based off his acting and how it seems like he's reading literally from the script. I can deal with that on a B movie. The thing is, you need to have some sort of cinematography in a movie. And I realized that during the viewing of a movie that I thought I would love, but I actually really don't like. A movie called Hardcore Henry. And if you've never heard of the movie Hardcore Henry, it's from about 2015, 2016. And the entire movie is shot through a first-person perspective of the main character. You never see what the main character looks like. It's all as if you were his eyes. And I thought that was such a cool idea. However, it is one of the most annoying movies to watch because you're constantly doing this, because he's constantly doing this. The same thing is with War of the Worlds. The way that it is shot is basically you looking at a monitor on a computer. which again, I thought was a cool concept. I'm like, okay, you're going to be watching, like going from this box down to here, and there's going to be video of, what's happening on these rooftops and something like that. I thought that was such a dope idea. 20 minutes in the movie, I had to turn it off. It's literally if you put your face to your monitor and is doing this throughout the movie, because he's constantly moving from window to window on the screen. And the only other shots in the movie basically are as if he was this camera and you're shooting him. I could not watch more than 25 minutes of it. It was so bad. Again, I can deal with corny acting. I could deal with cheesy dialogue. But just the cinematography of something that jarring after too long, I get tired of it. So I ended up turning it off. If you can stand it, it's probably not a bad watch for fun, but it was not what I was hoping for. And I do understand why people do not like this movie. I do want to quickly go over one unfortunate passing. On this podcast, we used to do a segment called, what did we used to call it? I haven't done it in so long. Thank you for the memories. That's what we used to call it. And it was always talking about people who unfortunately passed away, who we may have a nerdy or something connection to. Terrence Stamp, the Zod from the original Superman movies, Superman 2 specifically, unfortunately passed away this week. It was such a pivotal character in the world of DC and one of the coolest villains in DC cinema, comic book cinema, really, and is still talked about as an amazing character. And when they redid the Zod character for one of the first times in The Man of Steel, I saw so many people talking about it's just not Terrence Stamp good. And I'll admit, Terrence Stamp's performance is kind of cheesy, but there were still so many people comparing it. It was just such a good performance. So unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Terrence Stamp. And as we used to do, and we will continue to do when these things happen, thank you for the memories. Cheers to Terrence Stamp. Andre said, but you missed him getting the USB stick sent to him by Amazon Prime. That I heard that there is a lot of mentions of Amazon Prime because it is an Amazon movie. And yeah, they do pigeonhole Amazon in a lot. I saw it once in the first 20-25 minutes and I'm like, oh, we're doing it this early. Okay. So I can just imagine what I missed. I want to quickly talk about a game that I did not think I would enjoy as much as I did, but I'm actually really enjoying it. It's a game called Coffee Talk, and you're probably like, I have no idea what this game is, and neither did I. I actually saw it at an EB Games months ago. I was just looking through some PS4 games, and it was sort of a 16-bit art game where you play as a barista, and you're behind a counter, and all of these... It's set in a world where mythical creatures inhabit the lands. So there's elves, there's demons, there's all these different characters, and they all come to your coffee shop and talk about their lives. And I was like, that's kind of a corny game, but I could see people liking that. And then I saw that it was free on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, I'm not really into that type of game where it's just sitting there listening to, like, reading text. But what the heck, I'll give it a shot. I really like this franchise. And if you're into one of those games that's really laid back and just, you kind of want to just enjoy a story, it's actually a very fun game. It is not action-packed at all. The whole thing you do is make coffees and beverages for these people as they talk about their lives. So very story-driven, but I'm actually really enjoying it. I finished the first one. I just started the second one, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I am not a fantasy fan. Like, I've not seen Lord of the Rings. I've not seen Game of Thrones. Like, any of that stuff, it is so out of my wheelhouse. I'm very bored by it, but I'm actually really enjoying these mythical creatures and the lives that they are living, interacting with each other. So if you've never heard of the series, check it out. It is free on PlayStation Plus. If you've got the second tier with the game catalog, check it out. There's episode 1 and episode 2. They're full games, but they call them episode 1, episode 2. Check them out. It's actually a really fun time. The only other thing I want to talk about is if you have me on social media, if you have me on TikTok, if you have me on Instagram, you know that I posted a video yesterday that has got a lot of comments and a lot of feedback that I was not expecting. I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. It's really shocked me how many people are dying on this hill. Let me explain. So I put out a video yesterday that instead of cosplay business cards, I'm just not a fan of them. I feel like over the past 15 years of me going to cons, I see so many cosplayers spending money on these business cards. And some are amazing looking. Some spend tons of time making sure they've got their personality into it. I love those. And then there's some that just do it because it's kind of part of the gig. And I've seen so many good ones and bad ones end up in garbages and on the floor, and people saying, oh, well, this doesn't have my new social media on it, it's old cards, and etc. So what I've started to do is I've gone onto Canva, made myself a QR code, and I've attached it to my badge. So when I'm walking around, people can scan it. Because if you've ever been to Fan Expo Canada, pretty much you hit any elevator, they want to see this. So I've had a couple people message and be like, I like tucking my pass into my cosplay, so that kind of doesn't work for me. The cons I go to, you have to have this out almost all the time. And the amount of feedback I've had on this about people loving cosplay cards was very shocking. I did not expect that to be like I won't use QR codes. And it just kind of shocked me. Again, I'm not complaining about it. Like I'm perfectly happy with anybody's point of view on it. It just shocked me how big that and important that is to a lot of cosplayers. Now, there are a bunch of people who have messaged who have said, I like collecting them. And I said, well, that's a very different story. If you're making it almost like a trading card thing where you're collecting all your favorite cosplayers, I get that. But it's the fact of how many people are, the amount, I'm not joking, the amount of people, I'm talking double digits, who said on TikTok, I will never scan a QR code because it could infect my phone, was startling to me. Like, I'm in marketing and we put these on everything. Like every poster we do, we put a QR code so people can scan it. It is shocking how many people were like, never using a QR code ever. So it was very crazy to get that type of feedback. Rob, the bad guy in chat, says, I've got an NFC chip in my car. I've got some NFC chips. I picked them up a while ago. And I've tried programming them to my phone, and it works on my phone, but I've tried using my wife's, and it won't work. So I don't know if it's a program I'm using or something, but I've wanted to use NFC chips. Like, I've wanted to do them on my cosplay or something so people can just, like, scan a pauldron or something and instantly get my social media. So I love tech. I think it's something cool we could do. I'm not saying never make business cards for cosplay, but personally, I like having that. I'd rather have that than be buying business cards that people just chuck in the garbage after 20 minutes of seeing my socials. So just interesting feedback I've gotten from a lot of people. Other than that, we are getting ready for Fan Expo Canada. I've got my 2 totes over here ready to go. I've got a 3rd tote that I'm going to bring, a small one back there, which is just going to be in case of emergency, break glass type stuff. I will be bringing Ghost Rider. I will be bringing Gambit. I will be bringing Vic Rattlehead, Megadeth. It is going to be a busy weekend. Thursday, I will be rocking street clothes. I'm going to be shopping all day Thursday, buying all my stuff. Hopefully, I'll be getting some more McFarlane Green Lanterns because I'm missing a couple. But yeah, Friday will be Gambit, Saturday will be Ghost Rider, and Sunday will be Vic Rattlehead. There was a point yesterday where I was debating taking Vic Rattlehead out and putting in Portal, only because Vic Rattlehead is the sight on it, because it is a full covered face mask with holes poked into it. The vision's not the best, and I was kind of debating on it, but because Megadeth just announced that they are going to be doing their final album and the world tour next year, I felt it was appropriate that I do bring Megadeth to the con because they are kind of top of mind if you're a metal fan right now. So yeah, I will be there all weekend. I'm getting there Thursday. I will be there all weekend. If you see me, swing by, say hi. I'm going to do my best to find the cosplayers that I know and meet some people that I don't know, but my vision is very limited in Ghost Rider and extremely limited in Vic Rattlehead. So if you see me, come by, do the John Cena thing to my face. I don't care. Get my attention and we can talk. We can have a photo, whatever you need. I think that's it. We could go into a lot more about Fan Expo, but if you guys are looking for anything, go onto their website. It looks like they're posting a bunch of stuff over the next couple days, getting everybody ready. If you're still here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, all those things here on YouTube. It means a lot to me. Next week, we will be back, obviously, with a review of Fan Expo Canada. Before we jump into the main event, folks, let's do a quick sponsorship. As always, the sponsor of this show, if you don't know, is my beautiful, loving, amazing, incredible wife. She is always my sponsor here on the podcast. I would not be the person I am without her, and I know I say it every single week, and I know you're probably tired of it, and you probably think, Mike's just sucking up. No, it's the truth. I really am a better person with her in my life. I would not be doing this if it wasn't for her. So, hun, I love you. Thank you. You will always be my sponsor. Shall we jump into the main event, folks? We are 15 minutes in. Let's get through. Let's talk about, let's not even say let's get through, because this is really important, because I've been doing Comic-Cons for 15 years, and I feel like the etiquette ebbs and flows. I know there are some people out there who believe that the etiquette of Comic-Con has dropped over the past few years, and the etiquette in general in life has gotten worse over the past few years, but I do not believe that. I feel it is an ebb and flow just like everything else in the universe. So let's talk about Comic-Con etiquette. Let's talk about the do's and don'ts of Comic-Con. By the way, if you are not watching this live and you're watching this later, because I will cut it and make it its own video because it is an important topic, you can tune in Monday night here on Monday Night Nerd, 7 o'clock p.m. EST. Hop onto the live show. We can talk. You can put some comments in the chat. We can talk about some stuff. And for you folks who are on TikTok, same thing applies to you. If you ever want to watch this in the future, go to YouTube. If you want to watch live and be a part of the conversation, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Myers Corp Cosplay on YouTube. So, Comic-Con etiquette. This is, again, it's a question. It's something I hear a lot about. I hear a lot of people from the cosplay community, from the Comic-Con community, because I am a volunteer in many Comic-Cons as well. I hear from both sides that the etiquette of some people has just been lacking. And again, I've been attending cons for 15 years, and I feel like it's not just a this year type thing. It's not over the past couple years. It has ebbed and flowed. There are always going to be issues with different people having different thoughts of what they should do, what they shouldn't do, what they feel like they should be able to do. So I'm going to go over a couple points about Comic-Con etiquette and things you should know. If you've been going to Comic-Con for years, this is a quick refresher course that you're probably all doing correctly. If you've never been to Comic-Con, this is a great way to get introduced to the things that you could do, because there are a lot of people who go to the Comic-Con for the first time and do some of these things. I'm guilty of it myself. I have something. There is one thing in here that I will talk about that if you've seen my post recently, which was a flashback to my first Comic-Con, I did one of these and I posted about it because I didn't know any different. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. First, let's talk about it from a cosplayer's perspective. Folks, you've heard it if you've been in the cosplay community. If you are not in the cosplay community, there is a statement that is the absolute truth. Every cosplayer hopefully believes in this, and it is across the board. Cosplay is not consent. Simple, easy to remember, write it on the wall. Cosplay is not consent, folks. It's a very simple idea. No matter what cosplay you are in, that does not give you the freedom to walk up to that cosplayer and do something that is inappropriate. And that involves touching, hugging, taking photos, anything else. Be respectful of the cosplayers. It's 2025, folks. I don't think I need to explain this, but as I've heard from many cosplayers, it still happens. So, this is just obvious. And this isn't just towards anyone who is in, say, a provocative cosplay. This is also for cosplayers who are in large cosplays. The gentleman who was on the podcast last week, Freakish Workshop, talked about how he is going to be building a 7-foot rhino cosplay, and he will be wearing it at Fan Expo. Just because he's in a full costume like that does not give you the right to walk up and touch the cosplay, to interact with the cosplay that isn't, just from a distance getting his attention and asking for a photo, because you don't know if that is a possible weak point on his cosplay. If he is balancing on stilts and you accidentally tap his leg and it throws his balance off, he could fall. He could hurt himself. You don't want to be that person. Pretty simple. Cosplay is not consent. Just be, I don't want to say normal, but just if you see a cosplayer you like, wave to them, get their attention somehow without touching them, and approach them. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I love your cosplay. Can we get a photo? Can we talk about your cosplay? Whatever. As a cosplayer, and I'm not speaking for every cosplayer, but as a cosplayer, I'm in cosplay. I'm, to a point, looking for attention. I get that there are going to be people coming up to me and wanting to talk or take photos. That's part of the gig. I'm not going to look at you and go, no, you can't get a photo. The only time I'll probably do that is if I got a mouthful of pizza, because that's probably not the best time to ask. So simply, cosplay is not consent. If I missed anything, Google it. You'll find a billion things about it, because again, it's 2025 and I cannot believe we have to keep talking about this. Number 2, this is kind of what we talked about, what I mentioned at the beginning. Something I didn't know when I first started going to a Comic-Con. Ask before you take a photo. This I see all the time, and this is not just for cosplaying. This is also for celebrity guests. There are tons of people who will stand at the back of the line and hold up a camera and try and take a photo. It happens all the time. And I get it, where you're just like, I'm so excited to meet that person or see that person in the flesh. It's not cool. It isn't. And I know you're probably thinking, why? Because it's just not cool. It's the way it is. There's so many celebrities who I've ran into, who I've worked with, who just hate those photos being taken. Some are fine with it. Most aren't, though. So ask before you snap. And again, that also has to do with cosplayers. There are cosplayers out there who I have seen, sadly, so many people walking behind them who may have, again, a provocative cosplay. And I just see the phone up like this at a certain angle and are just click, 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 click. And I'll start to walk over and they'll see me, probably in Ghost Rider, and they'll just, and they'll walk away. And I'm like, I can't punch you here in the middle of a con because I don't want to get thrown out of the con. But I've told security a couple times about different people and just like, watch that guy, because that guy is doing something that I can't prove he's doing it, but stop. As Crystal says, if there is a cosplayer sitting on the ground taking a rest, do not ask them for a photo. Yeah, that's usually the line. That's like I mentioned earlier about eating pizza. Like if we're sitting and we're half out of cosplay because we're dying of sweat or we're just tired, chill in the area a bit. Just for a few minutes, see if we're going to get up. And when we get up and we put our cosplay back on, feel free. But yeah, just ask. Again, as a cosplayer, we're used to people wanting to take our photo. For a celebrity, try not to. Again, I get it. I get that this person may be somebody you've watched since you were a child. Ask, go up, just talk to them. Just don't take photos if you don't have permission. Mind personal space. Again, this has many different areas where this could factor in. Cosplay, mind personal space, goes back to cosplay is not consent. Don't hug people that aren't asking to be hugged. Don't touch people when they're not asking to be touched. When it comes to just being in the con, though, do not block aisles. do not block booths, and don't walk in the middle of photo shoots. Again, it's 2025. I can't believe after X number of years of going to cons and cons being around in general, this happens. And I don't want to pigeonhole a certain group, but I am going to mention, because this is very widespread, if you're a parent and you're bringing a stroller, think about how big the stroller is and try not to bring a big stroller to a Comic-Con on a Saturday. I've seen this countless times where we can, I think logically, and I know I shouldn't use that word sometimes with some people, logically, you should realize that Saturday is the busiest day. But if you've never been to Comic-Con, Saturday is the busiest day. And if you have a giant too wide stroller, maybe not the best time to walk through Artist Alley. Maybe not the best time to stop in the middle and check out a booth for 20 minutes. We all know, especially this year with Fan Expo, they are looking to put every inch of that convention on sale and get as much business booths as they can there, which means they can get more people in. It's just crowded enough, and we're getting to the point of it being too much. If you bring a giant stroller, it becomes an even bigger issue because you're totally screwing up the entire area. But not just that. Like, I've seen groups of people walking down an aisle and they'll all just stop randomly and turn and look at a booth. Not walk towards a booth, but stop in the middle and turn. And everybody who's been walking behind them all of a sudden has to put brakes on. Just stop. It's hard to say, like, don't do that, but it's kind of, there's no other way to say it. Just don't do that. Yeah. And cosplay photo shoots, like, you can clearly tell when, if a cosplayer is standing in the middle of an aisle quickly doing a pose, they're not doing a statue pose. Like, they're not just standing there for the hell of it. There's probably somebody close by with a camera taking a photo, usually where they're looking. If you're walking towards it and one person's on this side, one person's here, stop for a second. Or just be like, whoa, photo shoot. Okay, and go. It's real simple, but I've seen so many people that will just keep walking through. They'll walk into cosplayers. And I know I've been saying a lot about the general public, but I will say this to cosplayers. If you're wearing a cosplay for the first time, wear that cosplay around your house, outside, and start doing this. Start swinging your arms, start swinging your shoulders. Because if you've never worn wings before, if you've never had big shoulder pauldrons, you do not realize how much extra space you need for those things. Even, I've said it before, even with Judge Dredd, like, I've got a big one on this side and I've got the eagle on this side. And that eagle only sits about that much further out. That's a big difference if you're not used to it. That's another 6 inches that you're not ready for unless you've had that shoulder on for a long enough time. So if you're wearing a big cosplay for the first time that isn't somewhat close to your body, move around a bit and see how much wiggle room you need before you think like, oh, I'm just going to walk down the middle of an aisle that's crowded with people and start throwing elbows and shoulders into people. This next one is very important because it's something that I don't think, I understand why people have this happen. Believe me, I've seen it so many times as a volunteer, but be respective of the creators and guests. Now, I understand that these people are heroes to you probably. Whether they are a comic book artist, whether they are a wrestler, whether they are an actor, actress, whatever. I get that these people probably played a very instrumental part in your life, whether they were a childhood hero, whether they got you through trauma, whether they got you through anything, any of those things. However, there are too many times where people, it overwhelms them and they feel like they either need to trauma dump and they have to sit there and tell their entire life story to a celebrity, or they just don't know the signs, shall we say, from celebrities of like, I would need this conversation to be over, and not just as I don't want to talk to them anymore, but there's 50 people behind you waiting to get autographs as well. I do not have time to hear your entire life story. So be understandable and understanding of the guests and other creators, because there are probably 50 to 100 people behind you who also would like to meet those celebrities and those guests. And you sitting there taking time and time and time. Some love to, some celebs love to. Robert Englund famously will sit there for an hour and talk with you. And that's great if you're that person up there. But if you're even the person behind, you want to kill that person for taking up way too much time. So be mindful of how much time you have with a guest. Think of a question if you're going to go up and meet a guest. Think of one thing you want to talk about. You know, famously, I love Kevin Smith. I am such a big Kevin Smith fan, and I thankfully got to meet Kevin Smith a couple years ago at Fan Expo. And I could have sat there and told, oh my God, I've watched The Evening with Kevin Smith 100 times. I can, you know, I watch your stuff all the time. It's so motivating. It's so inspirational, da-da-da-da-da. But I know I couldn't do that. So I thought, what would be the most important thing I would want to tell him? And when I went and met Kevin, I said, look, and I told him this, I said, I could sit here and tell you everything you've probably heard 100 times. And I could tell you how much you've impacted my life and everything. However, the one thing I do want to say is this was just after I think it was a year after Stan Lee had passed. And I said, I never thought that anyone could fill the shoes of Stan Lee in the person who showcased the love and how important comic books are. And I said, and I'm so glad to see that I feel like you have stepped into those shoes and have done an incredible job with it, which he was very humbly accepted of. He's like, I don't feel like I've ever done that, but thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment. But again, I could have sat there and been, you know, I could have pulled up a chair and talked to Kevin for hours, but unfortunately, I've done the volunteer side of it, and I understand. From a volunteer side, please don't come up and just start filming when you're in line, like, hey, is it cool if I record my conversation with this person? Don't just start doing it, because it puts the celebrity in a really bad predicament, because they don't want to say don't film. So they kind of just have to go along with it, whether they want to or not. So be courteous. Again, that's why I put in the thumbnail of this video, rule number 1, don't be a jerk, because you can kind of tell a lot of this has the same overarching similarity. Just don't be a jerk. Don't do that. Ask permission. Most of the time it's a yes. Just ask permission. This is one that I can't believe I have to mention this. Please stay hygienic. Like, again, it's 2025, folks. Please shower after your con. Please shower before a con. Please wear deodorant. Bring deodorant with you. Do whatever you can to stay hygienic, folks. We all understand that Fan Expo is an example. 135,000 people. It gets warm in there. There is a limit to how much we will put up with, though. And that is not as a cosplayer. That is the general public. If you're a cosplayer, over there in my tote, I have a little tiny stick of deodorant. It is not the best deodorant, but you know what it is? It is deodorant. And it will at least help me temporarily until I can get out of my cosplay. If you are wearing a cosplay multiple days in a row, make sure when you take that stuff off, do not do like a hockey bag and throw it in a bag. Air it out as best you can. I have a little bottle of Febreze in there that after I'm done wearing my cosplay, until I can get home and clean it properly, fire some Febreze on that, air it out as best you can, do the best you can. Wear deodorant, shower, bring mints too. If you are a coffee drinker, if you know you're going to eat food that is just going to make your bad breath, bring a mint, bring some gum, something, just because you're probably going to have some face-to-face conversations with some celebrities. Put your best foot forward and be presentable, be courteous to everyone at the con. This is one I was talking to a lot of cosplayers about when I posted my video on social media yesterday about the cosplay cards. I have sadly seen a lot of people throw cosplay cards on the floor after they've scanned them. I don't know why people think about doing this, but I've seen it way too many times where they'll go, it's so-and-so, okay? Cool, they're on my phone. Gone. Not even in the garbage. Or they'll leave it, if they were sitting, they'll just leave it there. Clean up after yourselves, please. Again, I think this is common knowledge for most people, but there are still some people who don't do it. There are trash bins usually throughout the con. Use them, clean up after. If you're opening, a mystery box or something, chuck the cardboard if you don't want that. If you want to just keep all the stuff, just keep the con as clean as possible. There is cleaning staff at most of these conventions, but if you do your part, it makes their lives easier, and helping others makes you feel good sometimes. As a volunteer, this one is very appropriate for me. Be kind to the staff and volunteers. Like, this is one, again, it's 2025, folks. I can't believe we have to talk about this, but I'm a volunteer. I go to Niagara Falls Comic Con. I go to Hamilton Comic Con. I go to Nickel City and Buffalo sometimes. I'm a volunteer. I am not paid. I am going at my own free will. I am spending my hard-earned money to travel, to possibly rent a hotel, to enjoy the con, to help the cons work. That does not give you the right to tell me off because you do not like something about the con. I am a volunteer. I do not work for the con. I do not have any say about what celebrities cancel, what celebrities, what the directions are when it comes to programming or anything like that. It is stunning to see how many people see a shirt with a logo of a con on there, and maybe they see the volunteer in the back or not, but throwing certain words that I'm not going to say here on the podcast and just giving them straight attitude. And I don't understand why. That is one thing that will always shock me, when people will give someone attitude, especially someone who's a volunteer. And if you don't understand what volunteering is, I get that. But also, I don't understand how throwing attitude, you expect it's going to work in your favor. I don't. Like, that's the last thing I want to do, is if someone's giving me attitude, to be like, perfect, I totally want to solve your problem now. I want to help you get a solution now that you've called me every name in the book. I don't understand how that works, but some people, they feel like it happens and they have to do it. Us volunteers are sometimes only given a certain amount of knowledge. I personally, because I've been volunteering for 10 years, I do my best to find out as much information about any situation that is going on at the con, so I can give you guys the most information I can. Now, again, I'm not privy to everything for various reasons. A, it's not my concern half the time. But B, there might be something in there, in the news, in something that's going on at the con, that they just don't want you guys to know about. For a number of reasons, one of them being spreading rumors online. There is many times where I've seen a guest cancel at the last minute. Whatever reason. No reason was ever told to us, But without a doubt, there is someone who's going to post on either the post from the con or something being, I've seen people say, oh, that guy got drunk in the bathroom. I've seen that guy got denied at a border because of drugs. Like, stuff that I'm like, where did you hear that? And they're, oh, well, so-and-so told me. And I'm like, that's great. I don't know who so-and-so is, but I don't know how they know about it. So yeah, having some respect for the volunteers and the staff would be great. I think it's an easy ask, don't you? A couple more, and then I'm gonna let you guys get out of here. Line etiquette. Again, this is something that I've seen considerably more over the past few years, and I don't know why it's become such a problem. I don't know if it's because the amount of money it costs to get celebrities to sign stuff, but I've seen people hold lines for like 10 people. Like if you're like a buddy system, like you and a buddy are there and one's like, man, I really gotta go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. Like if I'm working the line, I don't think I wouldn't care. I don't think many people would. But if you walk up there and and you're holding 10 spots, I think that's a little excessive. I think that's more than necessary. And also at Q&As, I've seen this too. Don't hog the mic at Q&As. So many times I've seen people just talk and ask 15 questions. One question. That's the Q&A. One question. You get one shot. Everybody gets one. It's the old Spider-Man rule. And going into the next one, respecting the panel, like respecting panels. This is another one where, again, I understand people get in the moment of it's your favorite celebrity and it's probably something you want to ask hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions, and don't take too much time. Like, just ask a question and move on to the next person. And also a bonus tip, if you're at a panel for a celebrity, I've seen so many people complain about this, and I need to mention it. There are many questions out there that you can probably find the answer to on Google. Don't ask them. Just don't. I'm sorry. Like, I know that might be nitpicky, but I've been to so many panels. Like, Stan Lee's was an infamous one. I believe Stan Lee's Fan Expo panel in like 2013 or something was like the last panel I ever went to, because it's just every question was like, what's your favorite comic book character? And that's not a kid asking that. And I'm like, he's done how many interviews? He's answered that question 100 times. Please don't ask that. So again, just be respectful. And last but not least, this is one that I think we've run into a couple times. I've seen it a couple times personally in the past few years, and I'm really pushing on my social medias to counteract this, because it's just dumb that this is still a problem. Cosplay is inclusive and friendly. Like, there should be no gatekeeping and no welcoming, and you should be welcoming to these people. Whether you are someone who builds your cosplays, whether you're someone who buys their cosplays, whether you're someone who, whatever, steals your cosplays, I don't care. Be inclusive. Be friendly as a cosplayer. This is the whole, not even just cosplay. This is Comic-Con, folks. This is Fan Expo. These are events that we have all paid hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to be at. Why are we making this a problem? Like, stuff happens. 100% stuff happens. And that is perfectly understandable. If, like, something breaks or something, or you lose your cell phone or something, I get it. You can be upset. 100%. No problem with it. But people being gatekeepy about not even cosplay stuff, just general information sometimes, it's not worth it, guys. This is supposed to be a culture and a fandom and a world that is supposed to be happy that we just have people here. There was a time in our lives, almost everybody can say this, there was a time in our lives where this was not cool. this was not the hip thing to do, and this was not as big as it is. And with the inclusion of so many other people who aren't diehard comic book fans and diehard anime fans, there are people who come into this fandom who are only here for a cup of coffee, as they say. And those people are gatekeepy, and those people they do have an attitude to themselves and stuff like that. Just ignore them. Ignore them, because overall, this is a very inclusive and happy fandom experience that we should all be going through. So just be welcoming, be happy, be excited to be there, because again, this can all go away. Like, this could go back to when I first started, where Fan Expo now is 2 buildings and a whole bunch of stuff going on outside. It could go back to the way it was, where it was 1 building and there was probably a third of the people there. Let's just have fun and enjoy it, especially this weekend, because it is going to be another amazing year at Fan Expo. I hope you guys have a blast. Alex, you're late. Alex, what happened? Alex is probably doing something very important. Alex is going to be very busy this weekend running around Fan Expo, as he always is. I'm going to let you guys out of here a little early. I know all of you cosplayers out there are probably con crunching like crazy when you're getting ready for Fan Expo. And Dragon Con is coming up as well. So if you're in the Atlanta area, you're probably getting ready for that. Again, this weekend, I will be live all weekend at Fan Expo. I will be rocking Ghost Rider. I'll be rocking Gambit. I'll be rocking Vic Rattlehead from Megadeth. If you want to know what I'm wearing and you forget, because today is Monday and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are later, tune into my socials. I have posts scheduled for the next week, basically, because I'm going to be busy getting my final touches of everything ready, and I'm not going to have time to post. So stay tuned to my social medias. I will have as much stuff as I can during the cons. I will try my best to post throughout the convention. However, I am absolutely horrible at taking my phone out and taking pictures. That's why I have people like Alex. And every time I see Alex, he is always taking a photo with me, because otherwise I have no photos of me. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I don't think so. I think that's about it. Next week, we will be back here Monday night. We're going to talk all about Fan Expo Canada, what my thoughts are. This is my 16th year in a row going. Not giving up yet, even though I know there are a bunch of people who are not pleased with some things that Fan Expo is doing. This is still my favorite con of the year. It is my first Comic-Con. It is my favorite Comic-Con, and I don't see myself ever stopping, because I still have a blast every single year. So I'm going to let you guys get out of here, folks. Thank you, folks, for watching. I'll be back next week. We're going to talk all about Fan Expo Canada. I love you all, and I will see you very soon. Take care, folks. See ya. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.